So I will give a quick intro to automation testing. So even though this is not part of manual testing, so having an idea of what is automation testing will help you in the long run. So what is automation testing? So automation testing is basically a software testing technique that performs using special automated testing software tools to execute a test case suite, right? So on the contrary, manual testing is performed by humans sitting in front of a computer, carefully executing the test steps, right? But the automation testing software can also enter test data into the system under test and compare expected and actual results and generate detailed test reports, right? So test automation demands considerable investment of money and resources, right? So automation testing requires more resources, and they need to allocate budget for automation testing. So it's more like an automated testing process instead of somebody doing manually all the test cases. So the automation testing software tools will execute the test cases, right? Something like Selenium, like QTP. These are all some of the automation testing tools that will be used to do automation, right? So testing automation is best way to increase the effectiveness, test coverage, and execution speed in software testing, right? So here we want to increase the execution speed, right? If you have like 100 test cases, if you have to test manually, it takes a lot of time, right? So when you automate it, so the 100 test cases can be executed maybe 10 to 15 minutes, which may take 2 to 3 hours for manual testers, right? So here are some of the reasons why automated software testing is important. So manual testing of all workflows, all fields, and all negative scenarios is time and money consuming, right? It takes time, right? It's difficult to test for multilingual sites. If some application is supporting different languages, manually testing it is very difficult. So test automation doesn't require human intervention, so this can be run overnight, right? So we can kick off the automation tests and leave for the day and come back tomorrow and verify the results. So it will automatically increase the speed of test execution. Automation helps increase test coverage. So manual testing sometimes can be boring, and so create error prone, right? So if you are keep doing same testing again and again, sometimes you lose interest, and that may create some errors in the testing process. That's why we need to do automation testing. So what are the various test cases that will be automated? Test cases to be automated can be selected using following criteria, right? To increase the automation ROI. High risk, right? Business critical test cases will be automated. Test cases that are repeatedly executed, those will be automated. Test cases that are tedious or difficult to perform manually. So if there are like complex steps, so those can be automated so that we can reduce the execution time. Test cases which are time consuming. So some of the test cases that are not suitable, right? Not everything is can be automated. So what are those that are not suitable for automation is test cases that are newly designed, not executed manually at once, right? So these for before we do automation, we need to test those scenarios manually first, right? Once we say that it is working manually, then only we can go for automation. So that's why manual testing is still important when we are doing automation. So first step is to do manual testing, then only we can automate, right? Test cases for which requirements are frequently changing, right? If the requirements are keep on changing, automation testing will not be effective because we need to update the scripts very frequently. In that case, manual testing is preferred, right? Test cases which are executed on ad hoc basis, right? Some test cases which are executed randomly, those cannot be automated because the test cases keep on updating, right? So what are the steps involved in automation testing? So these are some of the steps, like selecting the test tool. So tools like Selenium, JMeter, or QTP, these are some of the tools available. So first you have to select the tool, then define scope of automation, right? We need to define the scope of automation. What are the test cases that we're going to automate, and what is the test coverage? So we need to identify those, right? Then we have planning, design, and development, right? Then we're going to plan how we're going to create scripts for those test cases, and then we write the scripts, then we can execute, then we go to maintain, right? So there is some updates or things like that, we need to update the scripts. So these are the steps involved in the automation process, right? So test tool selection, defining scope of automation, planning, design and development, test execution, and maintenance. So these are the various steps involved in automation, right? So there is a framework for automation. So framework is basically a set of automation guidelines. So just like we have like testing guidelines for manual testing, for automation testing also there is a kind of a guidelines, right? So that is called automation framework, right? Why this is used, right? So the automation framework is used basically to maintain consistency of testing, right? So if there are like 2-3 people writing these scripts, so they will follow these guidelines so that the scripts are consistent, right? Improve test structuring, minimum usage of code, less maintenance of code, improve reusability. So sometimes non-technical testers can be involved in the code, right? So these are some of the benefits of using a framework, right? So minimum usage of code and less maintenance, and maintaining consistency across various tests. So that's why we need to use some kind of a framework, right? So if the new testers are coming into automation, by using framework, the training period is reduced. So it involves data where appropriate. So there are 4 different kind of automation frameworks: data-driven automation framework, keyword-driven automation framework, modular automation framework, and hybrid automation framework. Right. So these frameworks are designed based on certain users in mind. So data-driven is more related to database and data-oriented automation framework. Keyword-driven is more UI-oriented automation framework, and some of the other frameworks are hybrid in between data and UI. Right. So just understand these terms. If you want, you can Google these terms and get more details. But for now, understand that there is automation frameworks available for automation testing. So what are the benefits of automation testing, right? 70% faster than manual testing. So the execution times are faster, wider test coverage of application features, reliability in results, ensures consistency, saves time and cost, and human intervention is not required while execution. So these are the benefits of some of the automation testing. So better speed in executing tests, reusable test scripts, test frequently and thoroughly, so you can write like a run every day, or so you can run the test daily or weekly, things like that. More cycles of execution can be achieved through automation. Early time to market, right? So you can easily release the product to the market early because of automation testing. So here are some of the tools that are popular in automation testing. Something like Renorex Studio, Selenium, QTP, Rational Functional Tester, and then Vertier. So there are some of the common tools. There may be other tools that are used in automation testing, but these are some of the popular tools in automation testing. So This is a quick introduction of automation testing. So watch this video multiple times to understand it, and any questions we can discuss in the session.